Hey Matt, congratulations on your success, brother, and I really appreciate you giving, both sides, and just free speech the opportunity to have a platform, dude.
Got it. You got it. Thanks for everything you've done for this country, Eli. We'll talk next time. Tell Jen hello, and I'll have this ready in a couple of hours, and you can share it and take a look. Thank you, man.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Spreely TV is brought to you by Don't Unfriend Me. No, that can't be right. Don't Unfriend Me is brought to you by Spreely TV. If you haven't heard, yeah, go over Spreely.tv. You can watch us on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, your iPad, Apple devices, Android devices. Doesn't matter officially. 190 million viewers we now have access to. So go and watch it. Go to Spreely.tv. You can watch us live. You can also stream it from our show. You can get it pretty much anywhere you want. Welcome to the show. We're always trying to bring the latest and greatest and cool stuff to you. So we now have a presidential election ticker. 286 days, 4 hours, 52 minutes, and 25 seconds. This will be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the Don't Unfriend Me show site at thedumbshow.com.
Is the hours and minutes for when the West Coast polls close, or is it midnight on voting day?
Well, you could probably figure that out by looking at the clock and then looking at the clock.
Okay, it's midnight. Got it.
So
figure that one out. Just,
Yeah. So
I'm sure somebody else out there had the same question.
Well, if you look at it, it's a total of 5 hours. So we're +3 to 11. So I believe this would represent the closing of the last polls on the West Coast. So this would be officially, or it could just be the count to when it is actually open for all states. It really doesn't matter. The point is that Tuesday, November 25th, or excuse me, November 5th, 2024 is election day, and we're 286 days, 4 hours, 51 minutes, and 27 seconds. I believe that would probably just be until Tuesday, November 5th
That's
at
what
midnight.
It's looking like, yeah.
That's what I would say. Midnight sounds good to me. Either way, it doesn't matter. That's the official count. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We will put that up occasionally before each show to let you know where we're at. It's gonna be a big night tonight. We've got some breaking information that's I'm last I believe I got it right around the same time that it was released from Daily Mail. But I wasn't going to release and do a show on it. And I got that around 4:30. And I had to make sure that it was authentic to the best of my ability. And the only way that I could do that is to take the two parties involved and run them through a voice analyzer, and then take that voice analyzation and run it through the auditory patterns of the recording, and then take them and then sample the overall pitch, tone, and frequency of voices. And I think, based upon what I uncovered, it's, in my opinion, about 97.3 some odd % accurate. So I'm going to run with it. And there's a recording of Kari Lake being blackmailed by the RNC to not run for Senate. And I've been hard on Kari Lake. I think she should have conceded the election, not right away. I mean, it's your constitutional right, man. Freedom of speech. You have every right to go through the court system, even if you're wrong, and contest an election. I don't care about that. It's the appeal after appeal, and then still not admitting, that the body's cold, man. It's over. I called it 3 weeks before the election was even done, and she's still beating that drum, and I've called her out on it. However, I like Kari Lake. She's soft on the eyes. She's a wicked smart woman, and honestly, she'd cut me. I wouldn't want to debate that woman. She's tough as nails. And, I would, though, as long as she was gentle. But I like Kari Lake. I don't have any problem with Kari Lake. I really don't. I don't agree with her on some things. I don't agree with her on the election. I don't agree with her on January 6th. But that doesn't mean I don't agree with her just about everything else. So once again, somebody who I can like. But this, I got to say, if this is authentic, and I believe it is, and I have to ask myself the question, just as somebody who has an inquisitive mind, did she record this, or was this recorded by somebody else? And I would have a feeling she recorded it. And because she knew she was recording it, did we get a side of Kari Lake that was a little bit of a show pony, right? Now, it's hard for you to understand what I'm talking about. But was she showing off for the recording? And I have to say a little bit probably yes. And the reason why is because the RNC and somebody who is as influential as this gentleman who did bribe and blackmail her, he wouldn't have done it unless he knew he could get away with it. Does that make sense? You would tread carefully. Like Mike Pence. Nobody in their right mind would try to blackmail Mike Pence and bribe him, because they know what they're, he's going to stand up and be like, I love my wife and we eat ice cream in separate beds every single night. And how dare you? And I'm going to go and confess to God. And then I'm going to go ahead and call the police. That's Mike Pence, because he's a Boy Scout. But Kari Lake, there must have been some reason why they felt that she would take this, whether that was a misjudgment of character or not. It probably was, because she doesn't seem like the type of person. But it doesn't matter. The point is that she just went off on this recording, just crushed this guy, and all the while eating potato chips, from the best of what I could hear, or possibly maybe some carrots in some plastic wrap or something. But it's a very interesting recording. We're going to play it now. The New Hampshire primaries just closed. It's first primary in the United States. Iowa was a caucus. This is a primary. Caucuses are old, and so is New Hampshire. They've been doing this where they voted last night at midnight and got 6 votes came in, and I don't know, New Brink or so. I did a show on this a couple of years ago in regards to what it is, and it's a tradition, 1960s, and they've been doing it since then, where the town of 6 gets to vote, and then they do that, and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, Nikki Haley got 6 votes and Trump got 0. Well, you know what? Jeb Bush got 3 and Donald Trump got 2, and we all saw how that turned out. So New Hampshire is usually a surprise state, though. If there's going to be a surprise, it's in New Hampshire. Anyway, interesting start. Olivia, good evening. Wonderful to see you here.
I would like to, for starters, one of our family members, not personal family members, but one of our dumb family members is currently in the hospital right now and about to have surgery. So I would appreciate any prayers, thoughts, good wishes, anything for her as she goes into surgery shortly.
Yeah, we'll just call her Salty. Let's get her some love, please. Mm-hmm. So there something's been plaguing me all all day, and it's kind of, yeah. I'm going to talk about it. So I'm gonna not spend a ton of time on this, but this is just to kind of get it started before we get started. By no means in any way, shape, or form is this lady a friend or someone who she would consider me a friend when she was living. Certainly not somebody who was an enemy. Certainly somebody who was more than an acquaintance, and somebody who I admired and liked very, very much, and still do. And there are many people I've had a chance to meet with Flags of Valor and other companies, Comcast, that I've had a chance to interact with. So Michelle Young was an Instagram influencer, coveted fitness, had just an excellent passion for family and life and her daughter, and like most veterans, struggled with depression, PTS, anxiety, things to that effect that ultimately made her life very difficult for herself. Staff Sergeant Young was too young. If you went to her Instagram profile, Olivia, like 2 days ago, probably didn't know that I knew who she was, would slap me because she's in bathing suits and fitness gear and everything else. And she took care of herself. She was incredibly fit. And this is why people followed her on Instagram. She's very pretty. She took her own life and survived by her daughter. And, you know, the first thing you think of is how can somebody take their life who obviously loves their child so much, and how is it possible? Because depression is a selfless disease, and it consumes all of you. And that selflessness that happens with depression, that makes you not want to reach out and not want to be helped by others, creates a level of appearance of selfishness that you are incapable of feeling, or you're incapable of accepting others' help, and all of these things. And, you know, she's done interview after interview and begged for people to get help. And she did a great video on that and a podcast on that. She's done Instagram posts during, focuses on PTS and Veteran Crisis Hotline and mental health. And it's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. And her daughter, God, I don't understand how you could leave this earth and leave someone you love behind, because I've said it a million times, when you take your own life, you don't kill your pain, you simply just transfer it to somebody else. And this once again is a selfish and selfless disease. I would ask that you if you can afford, please do me a favor and donate. This will go to her funeral arrangements. This is a GoFundMe. It's already been verified. I've checked with several veteran networks. This is 100% legit. I already gave to it this morning. Not that that's important, what I do and you should do. It's up to you. But this one, I'm sick of seeing veterans die. And I'm sick of seeing people take their own life. And I wish that one of these clowns running for higher office would simply address veteran suicide and why it is such a waste and tragedy. And none of them have talked about it. All of them talk about wanting to start wars, or who the flavor of the month is, but nobody's talking about this.
Is that something Eli might talk about at some point?
I think Eli constantly talks about it. I mean, we lost 2 SEALs last week, and the 2 SEALs that went off the coast of Somalia were announced to be dead, and it's too much, and it's just. My daughter suffers from depression, and she struggles with it sometimes. And She's doing much, much better. But I've tried to tell her, I said, if somebody like that who has a great life, who has a Tesla, who has, you know, who's physically fit, who could be a supermodel, who has hundreds of thousands of fans, if she can't make it, what makes anyone think that we can? And that's what people need to realize, is it's not based upon what you have or what you look like. It's based upon what's going on inside your soul. And nobody knows what another person is going through. You know, I struggle sometimes to be patient with people because I just get sick and tired of it, because it's the same thing over and over and over. And I know the troubles they go through. Like Angel last night, I know what she's been through. I know what she faces, but I'm not going to sit here and cowtail her when she's and just be like, oh, sorry. I'm going to tell you what I think, no matter who you are. I think honesty is important with people who are suffering, and I think being direct with them is important too. And I know in our own personal life, if Olivia wants to share some of those things, she can after this, is directness saves lives, and beating around the bush and enabling this is not okay. If you see something, say something. If you know a friend is hurting, then get on the damn phone and just check in with them. And you don't need to apply pressure to them. You know, I tell Mike and Leroy this all the time as two guys who are recently active. There's no pressure here. Show up when you can. I never push them. You know, the only thing I say is, damn it, tell me before 20 minutes before the show, not, you know, or tell me a few hours before the show, not 5 minutes before the show. But we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to not donate to a political campaign, donate to that beautiful little girl and that veteran who only wanted to help other people. And save your money. Don't buy that cup of coffee. Go give her all you can. I think she's above 60,000 now, maybe 50,000. It's amazing, and people are giving. And we raised $14,000 for a local diner. It's possible, and you can do it. You just everyone's got to pitch in and give. So give what you can, and I would appreciate it. Okay, that's it. Liv, you want to add anything to this?
I unfortunately didn't know who she was, and I didn't hear about it until you told me this morning. So it's very sad. And I have suffered from depression. I was diagnosed at 25, and then I had some severe postpartum depression after Hayden and Ethan. And luckily, I have the support of a good man that helped me get the help I needed, and everything's good now. But it took some pushing on his part to convince me that I needed to go see someone.
I said, you're either going to go see a doctor by the end of today, or I'm having you committed. That's what I said. Because I'm not going to lose you. I'm not going to have you drive off a cliff. I'm not going to have you take your life and leave that with me, because I love you. And so either you do it willingly, or you're going to go forcefully. And unfortunately, that is a very hard thing to do to the person you love. And guess what? She did it to me 10, 12 years later. And as I was sitting on the end of a bed with a gun in my hand, she didn't ask. She just called. And then 8 cops came with shotguns and long rifles because they knew who I was. And I had at least spent a lot of time with them. And they knew from my uncle who I was, and they showed up because they knew how big I was, and they knew that there was a possible threat. And even though we were friendly, if it wasn't for those guys and the guys in green, because they were sheriffs, who were friends, who didn't force me, who put their arms around me, who got down on their knee and made sure I was okay. But when they're like, do you want to come with us? And I'm like, no. They're like, let's try that again. Do you want to come with us? And I'm like, okay, sure. And, you learn that mental health is important. Tucker Carlson, somebody who I really am struggling with Tucker lately, because I think the unfiltered Tucker is coming out, and I'm not a big fan of what I'm seeing, but that's okay. At least we know he's authentic now, and that's okay. I can disagree with him, but there's some things that he says that I don't like. But what I do love is that he had a chance to interview Cat Turd, and he has a huge personality profile on Twitter who has made a ton of money off of his sarcastic tweets, a man that's a hell of a lot smarter than me, and who I like. I like Cat Turd a lot. I don't agree with everything he says, but that's everybody. But anyway, he starts talking about his addiction and drug use and alcoholism, and Tucker says, you know, Cat Turd's like, well, I don't know why people can't just be honest with their addiction, and he says, I don't respect or trust anyone who doesn't understand how weak they are. And that is probably one of the most profound comments I have ever heard from anyone, let alone Tucker. And that's a bumper sticker. Every single person should know how weak they are. And if you don't, you've never pushed yourself. If you don't understand your limits, I mean, David Goggins talks about it all the time, then you're nothing. You haven't even lived your life. You haven't begun to live your life because you don't know how far you can go because you've never tried. I love the fact that I learned a long time ago how weak I am. And I know my limits and I know what I can and can't do. And I think Olivia's reached hers, and that's when you begin your life. So anyway, we've talked about this a lot. Veteran Crisis Hotline is available, 988 press 1. And let's get to the election, because they're going to be announcing the information shortly in regards to what's going on in New Hampshire. Let's find out. And then I'll add some stuff to it. We'll play the Kari Lake video and we'll have a conversation. Polls have officially closed, will close in 37 minutes, but we're already receiving exit polls, I would believe. Let me go back and get this right.
Other countries and what the appetite is for more or less involvement. As you can see here, 52% of GOP voters want the country to take a less active role, while 30% think our involvement around the world should stay as it is. There's little appetite, as you can see, for increasing our efforts around the world. Good to see you. Brand new information.
Potential with force factor on
medical bills.
Related to the same high.
Other than just trying to be fair rather than free trade.
Others did the same thing, but there's just no path backward if you keep going down this road.
So we're looking at. Let me. I'll try to break some stuff down for you, but as of right now, I'm going to make a little graphic. But the numbers for Trump and Haley are 53% for Trump and 42% for Haley. Let me make a little graphic while we listen to this.
Laura, it's going to be an interesting night. Will it be a big win or a thin win? I think that's the margin we're looking at. And while everybody should be watching the channel, because I'm fixated on this screen right now with the percentages and where they move, while you're watching the channel, tune into Fox Nation. We're having a watch party behind the scenes. I'm here with Tom Bevan and Ben Domenech, the director of the National Institute of Politics. Kilmeade might stop by, Jimmy Fela. We're going to kind of watch along with you. So we'll be watching you, we'll be watching Fox, and we'll be having a conversation on Fox Nation. Pull it up on your iPad or your iPhone as well.
Oh, what a lot of fun. Pete, thank you so much. All right, the first polls have closed in New Hampshire, and the results are beginning to come in. We're going to go check in now with the surrogates from the Trump and the Haley campaigns. So buckle up. That's next.
So,
Congrats, Carol. Your youngest finally popped the question. But now you're really going to have to get those new dentures. It's one more.
So sitting right now at a 52.8%, 46.6% for Haley. That would be considered a win. If she can stay within 10% of Trump, I think that is an incredible showing for Haley. That would definitely beat the polls. Right now, it's early. A lot of the bigger areas and counties are calling in and closing. The way that New Hampshire works is, that's a very good number so far for Haley. Now, I want to be conscientious of, we don't know what the percentage is. This is early. Not all the polls are closing. The more western and eastern side is dependent. New Hampshire is northern side is a little bit more of Nikki Haley's area, and obviously eastern, western, and south Western, Eastern is going to be more Trump, Western and South is going to be more Haley. The further they get away from New York, Washington, D.C., Virginia, etc., you'll see a decrease. So a lot of the polls that are coming, you should see a narrowing and a tightening of this. If this is where it's at early, these are pretty Trump-laden and heavy areas. This is an interesting one, folks. I predicted that this would be a lot closer than everyone was saying. 30 points is a complete ridiculous number. I do not believe that number in any way, shape, or form. I think she's going to get a bump from Christie leaving. I think she's going to get a huge bump from Christie. She'll get a bump from DeSantis voters. And I think she has a good shot of falling within 10%. If she falls within 10%, she's definitely going to South Carolina. She's already done a $1.5 million ad buy there. So she's not going to be out of South Carolina. So this is vying for a vice president position. Nikki Haley's not going to be the next president of the United States. Okay. So everyone needs to calm down. I've never said she would be. However, if she continues to poll, and South Carolina is the big one because that's showing a 30% swing. I don't think that that's accurate anymore. I think that number is big based upon DeSantis, Christie, and Vivek were polling a lot. They need a new, fresh poll. And I think she's going to get that poll down sub 20%. If she gets South Carolina down sub 20%, she's going to be in this. Now, she's not in Nevada. We know that. But she will be in it for Super Tuesday. And then it's anybody's race. That's the way this works. It's very interesting. I've seen momentum do amazing things. And if you look at it, you have to look at Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. Joe Biden had no chance coming into the Carolinas. And then all of a sudden it switched. We know why it switched, but it's something to look for. So let's continue to watch. I'll pull up some maps for you too and stuff like that. And we'll continue to see where this goes.
7705. That's 1-800-916-7.
To credit to fund what's next. From fitness studios to medical offices and every small business in between.
Well, I'm not going to play ads. So they don't pay me to do that. Sorry for the sneezing. All right. Update 53 to 46%. Still within a huge, that's 3 points of margin of error. It's 10% in. This is a really good indicator that Haley is going to make this very close. 10% of the vote is in. It's 53.3 to 46 now. That is a very good number for the Haley campaign. If she can get it down to sub 5, that's incredible. If she can get it down to sub 5, there's a possibility she pulls out of this once all these polls close. So this is what I predicted. I told you this is what it was going to look like. I'm not surprised. Nobody else told you it was going to look like this. Everyone's been saying she's going to get mopped. I told you this isn't going to happen. This is a good result for Nikki Haley. And so far, it's only 10%, but I can't imagine it's going to get much worse. You might see this go northwards 3 or 4 points or south 3 or 4 points, but this is probably where it's going to fall. But once again, once those southern and western parts of New Hampshire come in and those counties close, if he's not leading by a great deal, you could see it narrow late. Let's go ahead and continue to watch. No, Nikki Haley's not going to be the first woman president this term, but she has a really good chance of getting the VP pick if she shows up well in New Hampshire and she represents in South Carolina. If she does that, then Trump has to take her because Trump is bleeding moderates. I pointed this out. I told you guys. By the way, 5 news articles. Politico put it out today. Real Clear Politics put out today. By the way, what did they say? Trump is bleeding moderate voters. I called it before everybody. So it's not about bragging. It's just the truth. And everyone knows. I've been saying this for 3 years that moderates are going to decide this election. Donald Trump lost the moderates. The only way he's going to get that back is to have a VP pick that can do it. And if she shows up like this, we need to stop. And we need to stop listening to the hate machine on Nikki Haley and actually listen to her policies. Because I listened to her at breakfast this morning. You guys know I was hard on her last night. And I'm going to be hard on people when they say stupid shit. But man, she impressed the hell out of me on Fox and Friends. And she stood up to the entire couch of Fox and Friends. And Brian Kilmeade, she handed him his lunch. And I respect that. And she says some things that I don't like. I'm not a big fan of her foreign policy when it comes to troops. There's some things I don't like, but I really do appreciate some of the things she says. And just like all candidates, I struggle with some things she says. So we'll listen right now. This is pretty interesting. So let's go from there.
Unforeseen business expense.
Yeah, Tammy says Trump will never pick her as VP. Yeah, I think that's a very ignorant comment. So if Trump doesn't pick somebody who is going to give him 20% of the moderates in the United States that hands him the election, then Trump isn't serious about winning. So I would challenge you that Trump will piss off some MAGA supporters, including a lot of the people that I know, and I think that doesn't matter. They're still going to vote for Trump. Nobody's going to leave Trump. Right now, Trump is losing moderates, and we can sit here and pretend, but I can show you the numbers, and and all the people who are just all the naysayers. You're way off. All you got to do is just come on here and make your point. There's a phone number right there. If we're off, then tell me why I'm off. But you're new to this show, because if you weren't, you wouldn't be saying that. I will put my record against anyone. Charlie Kirk, Fox News, CNBC, Rasmussen. It doesn't matter. I will put my predictions in the 2020 and 2022 election over any pollster. And I guarantee my record, it's baked, it's got receipts, and it's recorded. And every single person who's watched me knows is that I don't miss these things. So saying I'm off is like you just coming on and saying, fizzle britches macaroni butt. It just doesn't mean anything, man. It makes no sense. Have a take. Put out some facts. What am I wrong about? Tell me directly. And if you've really got some stones, call into the show. Why?
Immediate to say, Laura.
Why is Donald Trump losing moderates? He lost moderates in 2018, 2020, 2022, and it's tracking for 2024. I can tell you because Trump has backed bad policy. Trump hasn't won anything since 2016. We lost the House. We lost the Senate. He lost 2018. He lost 2020. He lost the midterms. Look at his numbers. He promoted 19 candidates for House and Senate in non-guaranteed red areas. We're talking swing states. We're talking swing decision seats. He went 0 for 19. He backed Mohammed Oz. He backed Herschel Walker. The Democrats have been successful with putting him on trial via media. And instead of the media that shows him really saying the things that people want to hear, they have put him on blast with 91 indictments. And that's all they talk about. They talk about him being a Nazi. They talk about him being the next Hitler, that he's never going to give up power. This has been a brainwashing for the last 3.5 years, every single day. And do we actually believe that some of that's not going to take as ill-informed as Americans are? Of course. So you lose moderate votes because you're not a moderate candidate anymore. You're considered an establishment candidate. You're considered corrupt, like Hillary Clinton. You're considered like Joe Biden is. And the good news is Joe Biden's losing moderates too. They're looking for a third-party candidate like RFK. How desperate do we all have to be that we're actually considering RFK? So, we can sit here and say all we want that Donald Trump's got this locked up. He doesn't, and neither does Joe Biden. In fact, they're two of the most unpopular candidates in U.S. history to run for office in a general election. The American public wants somebody else besides Joe Biden and Donald Trump. 71% of registered voters who have been polled on this, and these polls have been consistent for the last 2.5 years. I'm not a national poll guy, but I am a local and state poll guy. And these are local, state, and city polls. They're not based on national polls, which are just a political average of 1,000 people representing 332 million people. Okay, so the issue that I have here is people are not happy with either candidate, and you can say I love Trump. We're not talking about you. I love Trump, but we're not talking about me. How many of you have actually been polled on the phone? I mean, oh, I've never been polled. Well, that's not really that big of a deal, considering that 1,000 people out of 332 million, the chances of you getting polled are pretty slim. But most of us are on do not call lists because we hate that crap. We have a responsibility to tell the truth here. And the truth is this, and this is the only truth, is that Donald Trump in 2020 saw a significant decrease in moderate voters and independent voters voting for him, and his base shrunk. His base has shrunk since 2018 on every single election year. It is trending to do the same. So he's going to have to make up those votes somewhere. And the only place you get those is moderates, because Democrats aren't going to vote for him. Republicans are going to vote for him. The never Trumpers, the four graphics, the four areas inside the Republican Party right now are the Trump loyalists. Those are the ones who will do anything for Trump. If they're hooked up to a machine, they will disconnect and go vote for Trump. Then you have the people who love Trump, who like Trump, but honestly will listen to another candidate because they are more moderate Republicans. Then you have the straight people who are absolutely, I'm willing to go with either side, but I don't want to vote for Trump. And then you've got the fourth group, which is I hate Trump and I'm a never Trumper. You've got to get groups 2 and 3 because 4 is already decided and 1's already decided. Trump has his base. You pick Vivek Ramaswamy, that's all you're getting is Trump supporters. You pick DeSantis, you're getting Trump supporters. He gives you Florida. You already got Florida. You go ahead and pick Asa Hutchinson. Give me a break. Nobody cares about a 2-4 electorate state. You go with Kristi Noem. Nobody cares about a 2-4 electorate state. You're going to get Trump supporters. You go with Kari Lake, you're going to get Trump supporters. The only person on the ticket who does not poll Trump supporters but polls moderates and some blue-collar Democrats are Chris Christie. Not a fucking chance is he going to pick Christie, and Nikki Haley. That's it. Now you can go and stomp your feet and get upset all you want, but this is the number, folks. This is the number I told you. She started off at 1%. Everybody was like, Matt, you've been saying 3 years Nikki Haley's going to be the final. She's going to be on the ticket. She's going to give a run for money. It's either going to be DeSantis or Haley. And you call me crazy. 3.5 years ago, I predicted Nikki Haley was going to be on the ticket. You guys said, no way, not a chance. Everybody, ask anyone who's been watching me. And then she came in at 1%, and Donald Trump comes out and laughs at her and goes, Nikki Haley, whatever, bird brain, whatever, she's 1%. And I told you, just wait. Because Haley is one thing, and she is smart enough to sit back and wait. And she did. And she listened, and she let all these guys go ahead and measure dicks and fall all over each other. And then what she did, she started curtailing. She made sense on abortion. She started challenging these guys on their opinions when it came to the border, to not do anything in their own state, from literally just going ahead and milking Trump's bucket. That gets moderates. That brings in blue-collar Democrats. And you may not like that, and I don't care, because Ronald Reagan did it, and he was successful. George Bush Sr. did it, and he was successful. Hell, Bill Clinton did it, and so did Obama, and they were both successful. You can't win on your base. You have got to bring in moderates, and you've got to bring in blue-collar, either left or right. You've got to bring in the suburban vote, but you also have to bring in some of the rural vote that isn't considered inner city or just rural, the suburb, woman, Christian vote. That's what Mike Pence brought Donald Trump. The vice president pick has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with the person's look or demeanor. It has everything to do with what it can bring the ticket. Mike Pence brought white Christian conservatives in the Rust Belt back to Donald Trump, who were going to leave him. Barack Obama picked Joe Biden. Why did he pick Joe Biden? Because Joe Biden was an elite, and he had the white Southerners who were okay with black people, but not quite okay with black people, and at least they believed in Joe Biden. Dan Quayle brought the Harvard-educated, Ivy League, college-educated white male. George Bush Sr. was brought on because he was in intelligence and he was military, something Ronald Reagan didn't have, and they wanted somebody who could be that person against Russia because this was a fight against communism in the Cold War. LBJ went with went with Kennedy for a reason, because he wasn't going to win the South in Texas. LBJ delivered that to John F. Kennedy. Do you really believe Kennedy would pick LBJ? He hated LBJ. He called him I'm not even going to repeat the words. And LBJ, what did he say about black people? I can repeat that as well. And we can talk about the Great Society. So when you sit here and say that the vice president pick doesn't matter and he needs to pick Vivek or he needs to pick Kari Lake or whatever, I'm telling you right now, that doesn't give Trump what he needs to win. And you don't want to go into this race with a 3% push. You want to go into this race with a 10% buffer and kick his ass. Because here's the thing. Donald Trump beats Joe Biden on the national polls, but it's within the margin of error. Nikki Haley is showing anywhere from 10% to 17% on the average polls across the United States, beating Joe Biden. Why wouldn't you put her on the ticket? Who gives a shit what you think about her? She's not going to make policy. No vice president in the history of vice presidents has ever made a policy. No vice president has ever voted against the president of the United States in the Senate with a deciding vote. They are literally a token piece to deliver the electorate in the election, and then they are window dressing. And they're sent out to the Shaka Zulu tribe in Africa to collect an ivory-laden spear from the virgin hairs of the tribal queen to send back to the president as an honorary gift. That's what you do with the vice president. Anybody else call. Bring it on.
Did somebody call?
No, somebody's like, you got it all wrong. Yeah, whatever. All right, let's look at the numbers real quick. Did you already take her home?
Her mom ended up coming.
Oh, I was like, that was
so
fast.
I thought she asked me to bring her home, but she got home earlier than expected.
All right, poll looking at about the same thing. You're looking at 15% in. Polls are not widening. It's about the same. 53.5 and 45.6 are the current numbers. Once again, staying within that number, you're looking at 8.1%, a little bit higher for Trump. Once again, if she can keep this to single digits, this is a win for Nikki Haley. If she can keep it within 5, this is a monumental win for Nikki Haley. If Trump can keep it within 10 to 15, that's a loss only because of the number, but not because of the prediction. If Trump gets over 20%, it's a royal ass kicking, and Nikki Haley should bow out. That's where we're at right now. Any questions, comments, Liv, that you see?
No, I'm trying to catch up with everything I missed. So
just go down to the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah, everything's good on YouTube and Rumble. Too much to read through on Facebook.
Do I think that Nikki Haley will be the candidate for president? The only way that Nikki Haley winds up being the candidate for president if she's still in the race and Donald Trump somehow gets convictions on these 91 indictments, which I don't see happening. It's looking like more and more that these will not be settled by then. He might have some civil suits, but they're not going to get him on the obstruction charges. They're not going to get him on the confidential document case. They're not going to get him on election interference. They're certainly not going to get him on the J6 stuff. Every district court and SCOTUS have completely shot down taking him off the ballot. Trump is going to be the nominee. Now, the only thing is, I've said it before, that when people are so desperate to not have Trump on the ballot, what will they do? Will they do something even worse? And that's my biggest fear. Health is also a concern. His age, you've got to be concerned about that. Those are the things that put Haley possibly on the ticket. Right now, it's Donald Trump. Everyone needs to embrace that 99.9% Donald Trump is going to be the nominee for the Republican Party. What's not decided is what he is going to need as a vice president. And he knows what he needs. He's going to have a very big decision to make. Go with somebody who's popular with his base, or go against what his base wants, have them suck it up and win the election, because there's only one choice. The ones that I listed to you give him nothing. Now, Ben Carson is an interesting one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is interesting. I don't think Sarah Huckabee can actually run because of her requirements and the state laws of Arkansas. I don't believe she can. But Ben Carson is definitely a consideration, somebody I like. He's being told he has to pick a woman. That is what Donald Trump, what I'm hearing from anyone who is in the know when it comes to Donald Trump, is that he's being pushed to pick a woman. And it would be a smart choice. We know why. Because if you look at what he lost in 2022, moderates, a lot of Christian conservative women. You may not agree. You're saying, well, I'm Christian conservative. That's not what I said. I didn't say everyone. I said he lost a large portion of those. He didn't increase his base with men or women in 2020 from 2016 or 2018. Zero. Joe Biden increased 7%. That's the entire election right there. You can sit here and talk about stolen votes, and you can talk about ballots, and you can talk about Buenos Aires and secret servers and George Soros and all this bullshit. What it comes down to is he went down 3% in the woman's vote, 4% in the man's vote. That's it. That's 7%. That's fucking ball game. Okay? That's what happened. And how did they do that? Mass ballots. I've already told you. You send out unregistered ballots for emergency powers. They changed the state constitutions with judges, and they went ahead and sent out ballots, over 50 million of them. That's why this election saw 65 million more voters than any other election in U.S. history. We've already covered this. We're not going to do this again. They don't have that this time. Democrats know that. This is going to be a close race. Last race, it was 90,000 people, 90,000 votes, and 3 swing states decided this election. It could be even closer this time. How do you fix that? You go get the moderates. That's how you fix it. All right? Beating a dead horse. Do we have a horse sound here, Olivia?
Let me look.
I don't think we do.
That's about as good as we're going to get.
It's a good horse. I like it. It works. It's got flavor. We're going to get some primary information here, and then we will play the Kari Lake video. I'm not leading with that because this is what we're doing.
People want less foreign intervention.
All right, we're seeing a little bit of a pull away now. This is probably a lot of the eastern side once we see the next polls close. But once again, you're still within that point. I did expect Trump in the middle of this to pull away a little bit more. He's looking about 9.1%. Still respectable showing. It's under 10%. But if this doesn't change here when the polls close, we could have a little bit of an issue, you know, in the sense that Nikki Haley is happy right now. It hits 10%. I think that happiness starts to dwindle. Sub numbers is going to look a lot better than not. Let's take a look at Politico. See if I can find this. Sorry, I got allergies going on, everybody. I had this thing. Oh, here it is. No. Maybe I don't. Where did I have it? Here it is. All right. So here's what we talked about. Remember I told you the eastern side is going to be Trump, but this side right here and down in these, Cheshire County, is going to be Haley. This Sullivan County is going to be predominantly Trump, but look at this. Haley here winning 53.5, 17% in. So she's got 2 counties right here that aren't even in at a high level. So she's looking 28% for these 2 counties, okay?
How are their votes for DeSantis and other candidates?
Yeah, I'll explain that in a second.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you're looking at 53%, but only about 29, 32, 33% in. That's huge. Take a look at Dover. This is also a good thing because it's 33, if you're for Haley, a 33% in Dover. That's a pretty big number in, and 45% for Belknap County, okay? This is also good for Haley because that means Manchester, which is fairly close, is only 7% in. You look here where Haley's winning, only 10% in Cheshire County. Sullivan County, she's getting her butt kicked, so that's a big number. Let's take a look down here. And then you've got Coos County, which is 70% for Trump, 31 with 4.2% in. So this is really early, but Dover is a big one. Concord is going for Haley. That's a close one. But right now, early numbers indicate that Trump's going to pull away. But I want to see how it goes. Now, your question was, how is there
votes for DeSantis and other candidates? I thought that they all dropped out.
They still stay on the ballot. That's the way New Hampshire wins. And there's write-ins, okay? So write-ins are allowed. You're allowed to write in New Hampshire during this primary. So a lot of these are going to be write-ins. See this? Total write-ins, 47. Anything below this line is a write-in.
Got it.
So all these people here are all write-ins, and there's a total of 47 roughly of them total, okay?
Got it.
DeSantis is on the ticket because he just dropped out. Nikki Haley and Donald Trump are on the ticket. The rest are all write-ins. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now you're looking at 25,000 votes. There's going to be about 350,000 votes. So this is way effing early, okay? Right now you're looking at Donald Trump, if I could do this times 10, is based upon these numbers, is Donald Trump would win by 55 to 60,000 votes. If these numbers hold, if 350,000, maybe it's a little higher, maybe it's like 62,000 votes, which is a considerable amount. So right now it's early. he's got the lead for about 5,000 votes right now. If this goes to 350, like we think it will, then he's going to win by a considerable amount. Once again, there's a lot of counties in play here. Haley is doing very well in Grafton, in Carroll County, and in Merrimack County. There's a lot that haven't come in. This is a very small total. This is a very small total. And this is a very small total. So this is very early. And right now, Nikki Haley is doing very well. So is Donald Trump, as we expected. But here's the thing, is Trump was predicted to win by a total of 30 points. So who's doing better right now? It fairly obviously, it's Nikki Haley. Okay, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be that way for very much longer, because when those bigger cities come in and those bigger counties, this number could get out of control. But right now it looks fairly stable. Okay, all right, let's look at this.
Declared independent, and you show up at the polling station today,
Here he goes again. There's a point. So you're looking at about 2.5% of the vote. It's starting to flatline now. So Trump's push from those counties, he only went up 1%, and she went down to 44.9. So right now it's slowing down. That bleeding that we saw are some of those bigger counties. So we were seeing every 5-10 minutes, anywhere from 0.75% to 0.5% difference. Well, that was only 1/10. So now you're going to start seeing it slow down a little bit until these other polls close, and then you're going to get a really clear indicator. Let's listen to what they're saying a little bit.
Look inside, just where we were, 17%, too early to call, a difference of about 9.4 percentage points between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. A couple minutes away, they'll all be closed, Laura. Back to you now.
Wow. Bill, thank you so much.
Sure.
And we are moments away from the last polls in New Hampshire closing at 8 p.m. Eastern. Katie Pavlich, Byron York.
Oh, my God. Dwayne, seriously, dude, stop drinking the frickin' paint ether. Stop huffing paint, bro. Nikki is just a distraction, as was DeSantis. DTJ Donald Trump Jr. is the current commander-in-chief of our great military, like it or not. What are you talking about? First of all, Donald Trump Jr. is the president. I think you mean, if you're going to go ahead and make up a bunch of shit, you might want to go ahead and spell it right. Donald J. Trump. I don't know if you knew the president's name, but that's his middle initial. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe the manic posting and rage posting isn't doing you much good. Maybe you should calm down. Nobody is here to get you, Bubba. Okay, nobody's here to get you. I know you don't like a woman competing against Trump, but guess what? That's the facts, and we're going to report on it. You don't have to like it. It's just the facts, man. You're going to be okay, bro. And he's not in charge of our military. That's probably the second dumbest thing you've said all night. Just FYI.
The Biden border policy, foreign policy, even what Biden and Harris were touting at what they billed as the first joint campaign event of 2024 today.
Is Trump in Guantanamo Bay right now, executing Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton? Is that what he's doing? I just was wondering if you knew, since you're in the know. Was it Executive Order 66 that he signed to have the military installed to take over the government? God, I love you Qers. You guys are awesome. No facts. Just a lot of stories.
I ask the people here in Virginia, are you ready to make your voice heard?
This is why you care about the vice president. Right here.
Did she just say in Virginia?
Yeah, she's probably in Virginia.
Do we trust women?
No.
Do we believe in reproductive freedom?
No.
Don't mess with the women of America unless you want to get the benefit.
What?
The women of America?
Don't mess with the women of America, Katie, unless you want to get the benefit. I'm not quite sure what that means.
What the hell is he talking about?
It's going to be abortion, and democracy is ending if you don't vote for Joe Biden.
Well, Joe Biden also gave a shout out to who he said was the real governor, which is Terry McAuliffe, who of course lost to Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin, who is currently the governor of the great state of Virginia. But it's clear the Democrats are going to run on abortion. They've been successful in a number of ballot initiatives. It's something that does get their base out. But overall,
Sir Balance said, hey, Chris, Sir Balance, I'm pretty confident you don't know what's being said on the street. what you mean is what's being said on Twitter by people who are paid to say that. So the word on the street is that Nikki Haley has 37% of the moderate registered voters in the United States. That's a pretty big number. So that's the word on the street that I've heard. So not sure what word you're hearing, but you could always call in and we could compare notes.
Overall, with independence and the issues that are coming to the top of polling are immigration, illegal immigration in particular, and the economy. And as we've seen all over the country, even
somebody asked about what about the Democrat who's running against Biden. Here, let me be clear. If Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders in 2016, which was running under the Democrat ticket, was nuked and sunk by super delegates by the DNC, they're not going to let some newcomer come in here and hit the incumbent. So nothing is the news, and you won't have any. That's why RFK is no longer in the news. If anyone noticed this, they understood that Biden, and I promise you this will come out, is Biden sent out emails to every single news station and the DNC saying, stop talking about RFK. Stop talking about secondary candidates for DNC. Donald Trump is going to win if we continue to prop up other candidates. And that's why there has been nothing on RFK. There's been nothing on third-party candidates against Joe Biden.
Concerned about the resource management problems they're seeing now that Joe Biden's open border policies have come to their cities, crunching budgets, kicking their kids out of their schools, and requiring them to have their taxes increased as a result of their hospitals and public services being overrun. So when it comes to what's happening in New Hampshire, Donald Trump is the one who's been campaigning very hard on the issue of illegal immigration. It's what brought him into the White House the first time. And so voters tend to gravitate towards him on those issues that Republican voters in particular see as their top issues going into the primary process.
And Byron, what we're also seeing is the fact that voters in New Hampshire are kind of fed up with this interventionist foreign policy. From the Fox voter analysis, again, they're saying, look, more conservative on that, tougher on the border, let's keep it close at home. Does that surprise you, given your coverage?
Not at all. Actually, if you followed Haley around on the trail, which I did for the last couple of days, she was pushing back very strong at the accusation you hear on the net and other places that she's a warmonger and that she's a neocon and that kind of sort of stuff. And she mentions that her husband is career military, who's currently deployed right now, and that she would never, ever, last thing she would ever do is start a war or promote a war.
All right, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, guys.
Hi there. Hi, guys. Good evening.
All right, so there you go. You're starting to see now just a little bit. You're starting to see an increase for Haley because that just remember that 0.1% to go back up. This is to be expected. I told you that, especially as the polls start to close, you're not going to see much of a push. It's still at 17%. So these are these final votes. You can anticipate this to remain flat for the next 10 minutes until the polls close everywhere. So right now, 54.1, still within that 10-point margin, which is a good number. As this gets later, it should narrow. It shouldn't expand. But once again, this is New Hampshire. I've seen New Hampshire. I've seen 20% leads dwindle. I've seen close races end up remaining the exact same. New Hampshire is always kind of the redheaded stepchild of the primaries. Liv, did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good.
So you're saying that he does have a lead.
See, it's interesting. There's people who come on this show who all they want to do is just say shit that doesn't make any sense. The interesting thing is, Sir Balanced, I'm going to give you $10,000. I'm going to give you the $10,000 challenge. I do this challenge often, and nobody has ever cashed in because they can't provide any proof. Please tell me any war, conflict, proxy, or insertion, or any type of clandestine operation that Nikki Haley has voted for in any way, shape, or form during her tenure as governor or UN ambassador? Please tell me. And then once you do that, and you can't, I would then like you to go ahead and tell me how many Donald Trump has supported or proposed as far as military strikes or military interventions that were done from proxy. And if you could name how many he has done versus Nikki Haley. And then if you can go ahead and prove to me that Nikki Haley has voted for more, I'll give you $10,000. $10,000 cash, which would demonstrate a neocon and a warmonger. Because, see, you can't just call someone a neocon and a warmonger when they say something during a preseason event before the primaries. There is no doubt Nikki Haley has said some stupid shit, which she has dialed back. But Donald Trump has said some stupid shit too, including confiscating guns without due process. I like to just go ahead and take them and then go ahead and solve out later. Of course, you didn't go ahead and say he was against the Second Amendment. You didn't say he was an anti-constitutionalist. You didn't say he was a tyrannical leftist propagandist socialist because he wants to take your guns, right? You didn't say that. No, I didn't think so. So what I'm interested in is, instead of you coming on and trying to beat a dead horse in chat and get people to agree with you because they're too smart to agree with you. The people who watch this show understand that myopic thinkers who leave drive-by, fly-by posts don't last very long. And the reason why is because you get called out. So I'm going to offer you $10,000. The one deal to this $10,000 is you have to call in 804-212-2208. Provide me proof Nikki Haley voting for a foreign war, conflict, insertion, anything as UN ambassador or governor, and then you have to go ahead and compare the two and tell me who authorized more military strikes or more military intervention than Nikki Haley, or was it Nikki Haley or Donald Trump? You have to call in and prove that to me, and I need actual proof. You have to give me the bill. You have to give me the executive order. You have to give me the military memorandum. You have to give me the troop order. You have to give me the name of it, something to demonstrate to me that she's a warmonger. Go ahead and do that for me, and I'll give you $10,000 to your Venmo and PayPal. In fact, I'm feeling very generous. I will gross you up 33% for taxes. So now that is a total of $13,333.33. I will give you to your Venmo or PayPal if you can back up the shit you're peddling. Let me know. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. You've got 5 minutes. Okay.
She's outperforming that. And
the big board with the latest, and I get an up-close look at the big board.
You do, right? It's life-size, isn't it, Jesse?
It looks good.
Just listen to what Brett and Martha...
Oh, and Sir Balance, welcome to your second day on the job. Well, welcome back to the Don't Unfriend Me show.
I was going to say, I recognize the name.
Yeah, you said you were going to come back. Welcome. I hope you're having fun. $10,000, $13,333.33 is all yours. Go ahead and show me the legislation that she voted for any proxy, military insertion, clandestine operation, any executive order, any HR bill, any appropriations committee coming out of the House or Senate, any military order or action, any theater of operation, which command battalions, groups, carrier groups were involved, anything, and just give me any piece of anything. Just one little sliver, scintilla of action from Nikki Haley being a warmonger. I love to see it.
Hits are up for grabs. Former President Donald Trump and Nikki Haley facing off all week long, hoping to win tonight and move along and secure the Republican nomination so they can take on President Joe Biden in November. Fox News' continuing coverage of New Hampshire primaries starts now. We have a Fox
News. So this is interesting. So you saw a little bit of a push here. Hold on, let's see what it says.
It's 8 p.m. in Bedford, New Hampshire, where the polls are officially closed all across the Granite State, and the vote counting's underway. Donald Trump's entering tonight with a commanding lead in the polls, but the question is, will Nikki Haley's campaign live or die in the live free or die state? Walking into tonight, the priority is clear. Like Iowa, a large faction of Republican voters in New Hampshire believe the country needs a complete and total upheaval.
Yes, some people are saying some stations are already calling Trump the winner. That doesn't surprise me. In fact, Trump is going to be the winner. I think we all understand that. Right now, it's not about Trump winning. It's can she keep it under 10%? That is a huge win for Haley and a major loss for Trump. Plain and simple. If she's within 10 points, she's going to stay until Super Tuesday. If he goes over 10 points, there's a good chance that she will pop smoke. She already did her South Carolina bye. She's going to stay in South Carolina because there's a possible Senate run there, whatever. She wants to stay in as long as possible because let's face it, she's vying for VP. We know this. We understand this. However, this is a win for her right now. It's close, right? She's almost at that 10% mark. But once again, there may be some places calling it, and they very well can. Some of those counties that I mentioned off to you are very small counties. And the reason why you call it off is you look at the trend. Are there enough votes for her to make up based on the current trend? And the answer is usually no. When most of these counties are all counting about the same percentage within 3 or 4 points, it's not all of a sudden going to swing. That's not the way it works. In fact, with elections, usually your first 1,000 to 10,000 counts are fairly accurate compared to where it's going to be in the end. Now, if you have an area which has, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of votes in that area, in that entire county, that's a little bit different because 0.2% makes a huge difference. So a lot of these counties that are large for Donald Trump that are going and breaking his way, like Dover, et cetera, like I showed you on that map, those have a plethora of votes compared to even doubling up some of those other counties. So that's why they call it early. This is why they called Iowa so quickly, because the amount of votes that came in based upon where they were showing trends that were insurmountable for the other candidates to make up. Same thing here. But the fact that this is actually an hour and some odd hour and 10 minutes, and they haven't called it yet, every minute this goes longer is good for Nikki Haley. That's the thing you guys need to understand. Okay, let's see where we're at. We're going to fast forward a few minutes here.
It is here. Right now, as you see, it's about 10 points, roughly, a little bit less than that. And,
so within 10.
The question is, what does it need to be for Governor Haley to continue on? She says she's continuing on anyway, but there will be pressure, especially from Trump world, for her to do as Governor DeSantis did and step aside. Doesn't look like she's going to do that.
All right, so it looks like it's going to be about a 9 to a 15-point margin for the former president. Is that what we're looking at now?
No, it just went up.
Safe. Numbers still coming in from different areas around New Hampshire. But, clearly it is a solid win. It would also be no one has won the Republican nomination, won Iowa, won New Hampshire, and not gone on to secure the nomination.
Yeah, it's his.
So history is on the former president's side when he looks ahead at these other states. But we have heard, as everyone has said time and time again from Governor Haley, that she doesn't believe that 2 states should decide who the nominee is going to be, and that she intends to stay in this, that she intends to work hard over the next month into South Carolina. But whether or not they rethink this, given the end of the night numbers here, we'll see.
She is out.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question, Balanced. So, Balanced, I know more than you do around our commander-in-chief, obviously. He had more than drone strikes. I guess you're forgetting about Solomon Ali. Salmonella. Iran leader. Why is that giving me such problem? Obviously, you know more than me because I can't pronounce the guy's name. Soleimani. Thank you. My God, I just don't know why I Joe Biden that up. But you're also looking that he had strikes into Crimea. He had strikes into Syria. He had strikes into North Africa. There were plenty of drone strikes that Donald Trump did preventive, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? The point is nobody called him a warmonger. So Nikki Haley, to answer your question, has never signed one piece of legislation or endorsed anything as UN ambassador because that actually can get her thrown out of the UN Council. You can't condone war or threaten another sovereign nation in the United Nations. It is a very thin line if you do so. Hence why we didn't do it during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We didn't do it during 9/11. We have to be very careful with doing that in the United Nations, number one. Number two, she didn't do it as a governor because, let's face it, they didn't activate the South Carolina, military might of South Carolina to go and fight independently outside of the United States, and she certainly doesn't have that vote. She can go ahead and stop some water coming in from hurricanes. She can go and save some kittens in a tree. or she can go ahead and make sure that a protest doesn't get awry. But that's about it as governor. So for people to call her a warmonger, she said some stupid things. I don't necessarily consider people saying stupid things and trying out new policy to get an idea of what the public thinks before she gets to a general election is a bad thing. I think ideas are important. I think it's important for her to shape and learn. This is the national stage. She said some dumb things. Trump said some dumb things. Sanctimonious said some dumb things. Vivek said dumb things. Chris Christie said dumb things. It doesn't mean that just because you say something that's not necessarily popular means you're a fucking warmonger. I can't stand people who do that because you're not basing it on the candidate's qualifications and actually who they are. You're making stuff up because somebody said that. So you even said it yourself, I believe, that somebody on the street is saying that, which means that's what the word on the street is, a bunch of people who don't like Nikki Haley and they didn't like Ron DeSantis, but now they want him as VP. Isn't it amazing how 48 hours changes the way people think?
I've got a question from a listener.
Go for it. I'm going to play this while you ask.
All right. Brenda on Rumble.
If we see that for what it is.
Her granddaughter, and I don't know how old she is, but her granddaughter wants to know if a president can pick his wife or her husband as VP.
That would be the right thing for the country.
That is a wonderful question. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that they can't. But there is a conflict of interest there. And there also is a sign of impropriety when it comes to nepotism, right? So having your wife, but if you look at Mary Todd Lincoln, she was actively involved in Lincoln's presidency. Hillary Clinton was actively involved. Nancy Reagan was actively involved. Michelle Obama. So although not able to be a vice president, husband and wife team, because I do believe that there would be a conflict of interest there, right? There is a conflict.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to consider this. Well, what happens if the president of the United States gets kidnapped? All right, then that vice president is the wife. Are they able to go ahead and make decisions on a non-emotional state? So it really is an unspoken law. When it comes down to the 25th Amendment, when it comes down to the decision makers in the hierarchy of the chain of command into the presidency, it would be absolutely frowned upon and probably struck down. You could put Brangelina in the height of their success on that ticket, and I think everybody and their mother would say absolutely not. And I would imagine that's why. Blackmail, divorce, infidelity. Can you imagine if the vice president and the president were married, they got into a quaff, and then they got in a wicked fight, and literally nukes are flying between, I'm going to nuke Washington, D.C. Well, you're in Washington, D.C. Yeah, well, so are you, and I'm taking you out. It's just no. So the answer to your question, it's a good question. It's one that I had to think about, but because of the 25th Amendment, I believe that would be considered to be a conflict of interest. And not considered. But that doesn't mean that women are not absolutely influential, or men, which we've never had a first gentleman. But if we do, they are absolutely influential. And others are basically posts. You want to look at Laura Bush. She did nothing. Melania Trump, although did some great things and was beautiful and poised and glamorous and had that Jackie O feel, she really didn't do much when it came to policy. She had her programs like all first ladies do, which are never her idea, or at least they sit down and say, what do you want to impact? And then literally a team and a think tank go out and execute, and she gets credit for it, whether it be lunches or whether it be the DARE program for Nancy Reagan, whatever it would be. They have a profounding impact on the president's decision. And it's because, here's this, if I was president, I'd bounce it off my wife all the time. I would ask her questions and I would get her opinion, kind of like we do on the show. And even though it's not all the time, there are times I truly want to know what Olivia thinks because I'm scratching my head. I'm sure the president's the same way. I'm sure they've counseled with their wives in the past, but that's the best answer I can give you to that question. There's nothing specifically in the Constitution, but the 25th Amendment does have a specific set of rules of what the president has to be from a capacitation and incapacitation point. And I think this would fall under the blackmail and conflict of interest clause inside the 25th.
Yeah, I think also Melania, she wouldn't be able to be president because she's an immigrant.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. Okay. Any questions? Good.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up here in a second.
Different states, you have different rules. And that's not always the case. In South Carolina, you don't have to declare at all. Everybody gets to vote for whoever they want. When you go to Nevada, it's a different story. So there's a lot of different things going into this. But bottom line for Nikki Haley, she did a lot better than anyone gave her credit for last February. She got it to a two-person race, but can she get it to a win tonight? Unlikely.
And it is a weird state. No offense to the people of New Hampshire, but in terms of your Republican primary voter, it's a New England state. It's not heavily.
I never said a politician is above criticism. That's not what I said at all. That's not what I said at all. I said basing your opinion on lies is feckless and weak. That's all. I like to be informed. I like facts. I don't like supposition. I don't like guessing. I don't like uneducated opinions, man. So when you say Nikki Haley has said stupid things, yes. That Nikki Haley has played the race card, yes. That she has played her feminist side, but let's face it, men have been placed in their side. Don't tell me that Donald Trump isn't machismo and you know, alpha. And Joe Biden. So you have a woman who wants to do the same thing, and she's what? She's too much of a feminist? I think it's bullshit. I think Nikki Haley has shown the right amount of toughness, the right amount of sincerity. I think she's a good woman. I think people are just assholes, and they want Donald Trump, and they're going to eat anyone who stands up against him alive, and that's what they've done since 2016. It doesn't make you magnanimous. It doesn't make you right. It doesn't make you a good human being. It makes you a bully and a prick. So
they were all against Vivek.
Yeah.
A week ago, and now they're singing his praises.
Yeah,
and
that's it. That's it. Listen, in the end, this is what's going to happen. And Balanced, I'm not calling you a prick. I'm just saying that's what people have been doing. Here's my comment. You're going to sit here, and more than likely, in 2024, Donald Trump's not going to win the nomination, okay? Because he is not going to do what it takes to win the nomination by picking a candidate that delivers him the candidacy, delivers him the race, okay? He probably should have replaced Mike Pence in 2020. The poll that Mike Pence had was waning and gone. The Christian conservatives were already in his court. He could have picked another VP. That would have been the time to pick a Ben Carson. That would have been a good time to pick somebody like DeSantis or somebody else who was on the rise and their star was on the rise. Even a Kari Lake, for God's sakes, then. Not now, but then. But here's the deal. If Trump does what Trump wants to do, and he's being smart, you notice how he is being very kind to all the other Republicans when they're out of the race. He's been very soft against these people. He hasn't been hard this time. He knows he needs their votes. He needs one of those candidates to be the VP. So he's not going to trash Nikki Haley completely. Remember, he said he doesn't want DeSantis as his VP. He said he doesn't want Vivek as his VP at one point. He doesn't want Nikki Haley as his VP. Of course, he wants to take all consideration of these people out. But then the moment that the frickin', chips fall and they see that this woman went from 1% to 46% in a state and 20% in Iowa and may surprise everybody in South Carolina, how do you not pick her as VP? She's the last woman standing. Okay? So I don't care if you have an opinion. You can say, I just don't like her. That's my opinion. And guess what? I'm not even gonna mention you in chat. I'm not even gonna bring your name up. I might say hi to you, come back for another night and say, thanks for being here. But the moment that you say Nikki Haley is A, B, C, and D, and you can't back it up, I'm gonna squash you like a roach. Because even if you did that with Trump, because I do that with people all the time. And what's interesting is when we talk about loyalty should be to the truth. It shouldn't be to a person. I'm loyal to the truth. I don't let people lie on Trump, and I don't let them lie for Trump. I don't let them lie on Haley, and I don't let them lie for Haley. I don't like people who lie. Not a big fan. I don't like clout chasers. They're a bunch of pussies like Dom Lucre and the Krasenstein brothers and Laura fucking Loomer. They're all clout chasing losers. And all they do is get the news from the night before, and they are called the Mockingbird crew. They just go up there and the sun comes up and they start squawking like a rooster. Cock-a-doodle fucking do and repeat the exact same thing and the work of others that they've done. You get an original take here. It's live, it's raw, it's honest, and I engage with the audience, and I don't give you talking points. I think I'm the only Republican who told you that Nikki Haley was going to fall within 10% and show up in New Hampshire. She had a really good chance of winning it. Honestly, DeSantis pulling out hurt her. If DeSantis would have stayed in, then I have a really good feeling that she could have won this, because trust me, DeSantis would have polled more than 10%. I guarantee that polls from Trump. But he got a boost because DeSantis went out, and now it looks to be about a good 10, 12%, which is what we talked about last night, the night before. This is a good showing for Nikki Haley. And anyone that says she should drop out, you want to literally take those votes and you want to just throw them in Joe Biden's corner. I think that is a stupid thing to do. A stupid thing to do. You guys wouldn't want to lose DeSantis votes. You wouldn't want to lose Vivek votes. You wouldn't want to lose Chris Christie votes. Why do you want to lose Haley votes? If he can actually cut into the African Americans and minorities, if he can cut into the Christian conservative females in the suburbs, if he can actually get into a part of Gen Z because Nikki Haley reminds them of their mom, is that not a good thing?
I think we should, the people who've come on and hated on Nikki Haley, remember their names for when, if she gets picked for VP, how they're going to be singing her praises, and call them out on it.
Oh, you guys all would be. You know what you would do? You'd be like, oh man, I don't know what Trump's doing. And you know, here comes trust the plan. Because you want to know why? Because I have an idiot on Twitter who has 40,000 followers on Twitter who said when Donald Trump called Nancy Pelosi was responsible for January 6th and called her Nikki Haley like 6 times. You know what he said? Guys, stick with me here. Stick with me.
It's all part of the plan.
Donald Trump, he was letting us know something. She was ambassador in 2017. She planned January 6th.
It's all part of the plan.
He was giving us our marching orders. He was telling us what to do. You don't believe me? Do you really think that that's not accurate? Because I'll read it to you.
You want to know what's crazy right now?
By the way, real quick, Haley, she's winning 1, 2, 3 counties. And there are still 1, 2, 3. She's not going to win this. I mean, he crushed in Dover. He's crushing in Belknap. These are the large. This is the large parts right here on the border. Usually border, and in the middle is a little bit more rural. But she crushed Grafton. She's doing really well in Merrimack, and she's doing exceptionally well in Cheshire. She's got some power, boys and girls. She's got some. Oh, it's all Democrats. No, it's not. That's not the way this works. Democrats can't just switch their vote. If you were registered, you have the ability to switch your vote and submit paperwork to switch your vote in the primary. That's a lot different. And you know what? That really is less than 1% of the vote. So give me a break. I've already done the math on this. I think it came out to like 1.1% of the overall vote had the potential of switching from Democratic Party to voting for Republican. Give me a break. That's nothing. You election deniers, you guys need to stop. People are going to try to deny this. She cheated. She cheated. Look at, he won 4. There's no way. They cheated. If Donald Trump comes out and goes, I'm taking Nikki Haley because she gives me the best chance to win, you guys will be sucking on her titty in 2 seconds. Guarantee. Dan Bongino is just blocking everybody. I don't know if you guys know this.
Did he block you?
No, he didn't block me. But he blocked Dom Izzo. And Dan Bongino is just going out and blocking everybody. He's pissed off because an old school podcaster who went off on Rush one time, started talking shit to Bongino, and Bongino's like, I'll fucking end you, I'll find you. You know, and he's just melting down, and he's blocking everybody and just blowing. I mean,
he blocked Izzo?
Yeah, he blocked Izzo. And Republicans are just going crazy. You guys are all just, you need to calm down. You guys are like literally just going freaking nuts. Nuts.
You want to know what's crazy?
Yes, tell me what's crazy. I'm going to show you this.
I just thought of something talking to Brenda in chat about her granddaughter. Her granddaughter's 17, so she's trying to teach her about politics and get her ready to vote.
Oh, tell her I'm sorry about my language.
I don't know if she's watching. I just know.
I'll do better. I'm sorry about my language, guys. I'm a little fired up. I apologize.
But was just thinking about that. Hayden's going to vote in the next election in 2028.
And she's going to vote Republican. You know she is.
I know she is, but just the fact that she's going to be old enough to vote in 2028.
All right, let me walk you through this crazy real quick.
Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. Soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want, they turned it down. They don't want to talk about that.
All right. So obviously, listen, I do it all the time. I call my wife Hayden. I call Hayden Olivia. I call Ethan Olivia.
I call the kids Yenny and Yoshi constantly.
Right. I mean, and she doesn't use my real name. She doesn't call me Matt. So that's never happened. But listen, this guy, Stormy J is his name. Oh, I guarantee he created his account. Oh, go figure. January 6th. Go figure. Look at that. How do I know these things? I wonder. This guy's got a podcast. He's got 45,000 followers. It just baffles me. He says, I see a lot of scuttlebutt. You mean scuttlebutt. It's not called scuttle.
How does he have a podcast and he just joined and I'm confused.
What are you talking about? His name's Stormy. Storm the Capitol, Stormy,
Okay.
and he created his account in 21 January.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right on January 6th. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
I see a lot of scuttle. It's scuttlebutt about this supposed mistake Trump made saying Nikki was responsible for the protection of D.C. when in actuality it was Pelosi. This tells me a different story because Trump does not make a mistake like this. Yes, he does. He does it all the time. He is telling us something. Let me hypothesize here. Nikki Haley was UN ambassador from January 17 to 2018, right at the start of Trump's presidency. It wasn't the start of, okay. He removed her from the governor of South Carolina to a more prestigious position as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, surrounded by all globalists. What are the odds Trump offered 10,000 troops to D.C.? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Mark Meadows wrote a frickin' memorandum asking if they needed him. And so he could petition the mayor of D.C., which is part of the chain of command of the President of the United States, to use action for the National Guard. Shut up. You're wrong. I've seen the memo. I've done a show on it. And it was requested through the UN via Nikki. No, it wasn't, because D.C. was named an occupied territory by belligerent occupation. No, it wasn't. What the fuck are you talking about, you crazy freaking Qer? Just brainstorming here. You have to have a brain to brainstorm. You're just storming, little puff cloud. Removing the power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. What? Recent years have seen a significant number of extraterritorial military interventions in addition to the persistence of traditional forms of occupation. Some of these interventions have given rise to new forms. Dude, shut up. Stop talking. Stop talking. You have 45,000 followers. You owe them better than that. And to his followers, you can come over here. If you're sick and tired of hearing it, you can come on over here. All right, let's listen to this.
Evangelical, it's highly
election fight.
It sure will be.
All right, this is important. Now you got to watch her mannerisms. You got to listen to her voice, because this is going to tell us a lot. All right.
I've conquered New Hampshire. Let's listen.
All right, here's Nikki Haley. This is her possible concession speech. It won't be. She's got a $1.5 million buy in South Carolina. Let me just explain this to you guys real quick, and then I'm going to be quiet about this for a second. She did very well. Like, I would give her a B+ in New Hampshire. She kept it under 10% so far. And honestly, the numbers are not, it's 22%, and there's a lot of votes out there. I'm interested to see where it falls. But this is a very good turnout. And Fox, anybody who says this isn't, they're just sucking on Trump's butt. That's it. This is a good turnout for Nikki Haley. She should be proud of herself. She went from 1% up to the last woman standing, and she just did really well in New Hampshire. Let's see where South Carolina goes. And honestly, she's not going to win. There's no chance for her to win. But she is making a viable case for vice presidency. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. But this is important to hear what she says. Okay? Let's listen to what she has to say. Here it is.
Thank you. Oh, what? I love her too. What? What a great night. God is so good all the time. Thank Thank you, New Hampshire, for the love, the kindness, the support, and a great night here tonight. Thank you so much. I want to first say thank you to my husband, who I know is...
I'm just going to say something, and Olivia noticed it earlier. She has changed her eye makeup, and she looks damn good. So
She definitely looks better.
yeah, she looks really pretty, and she's done her contour. She doesn't look as shrill and tired, but whatever she's doing with her makeup, she looks good. Embrace that Indian side of you, Nikki. Stop trying to hide it, and just accent your eyes, accent your Persian. Just get it going, lady. And don't look so freaking. We've already had Hillary Clinton on stage. We don't need any more. Okay.
Love you. We're excited to have you. Thank you. I want to thank my kids who are here, Rita and Naylan and Josh, who have really kind of stepped up and...
Joseph Hillstrom goes, she's a smoke show. Yeah, she's a good-looking woman. I don't care what anyone says. I think Nikki Haley's really pretty.
The support I need. You know, you really pull on your family when something like this happens, and I am incredibly blessed by their support.
I'm sorry I keep interrupting. People are like, she's doing better than I expected. I told you she was going to do better. I told you 3 years ago. What? You know what?
Oh, boy.
I'm going to quit, Liv. I give up. Give up. Man, everyone talks about checkers and chess, man. I'm playing Parcheesi, Rubik's Cube, Monopoly, backgammon. 3 years. 3 years. I had to listen to y'all. Nikki Haley's a rhino. Nikki Haley's the deep state. Nikki Haley's a Democrat. Dude, she just took on your boy New Hampshire. She did pretty fucking good. You got to give it to her, man. She's got some fight in her. You may not like her. She ain't going to win, but at least she's going for that VP spot. She wants that VP spot. She knows what it's going to take. And if you're okay with Donald Trump slapping everybody else, then you're okay with her slapping Donald Trump. That's the way this game's played. He knows that. He's not stupid. Donald Trump's not stupid. He wouldn't have made her a UN ambassador. He doesn't hate Nikki Haley. He doesn't hate Nikki Haley. He probably needs Nikki Haley. All right, let's listen. I will not interrupt again.
You know what somebody mentioned
Sorry, go ahead.
on YouTube is thinking about a Nikki Haley Kamala debate. That would
that wouldn't even be a debate.
No, I already have a game that we're going to play. Anytime Kamala mentions a Venn diagram, we all have to take a shot.
No shit. Nikki, I'm going to go ahead and show you a Venn diagram. Okay, so let's listen to this because I want you to hear the Nikki Haley tape.
I have my parents at home, and I will always say that the way they raised me, to know that we lived in the best country in the world, but to also know that the best way you appreciate your blessings is to give back. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you so much.
That's nice. That's good.
To my siblings, to my in-laws, to everybody back at home, to Vicky for helping me take care of Mom and Dad. Thank you for that. You know, I will tell you, it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it has been almost a year that we've been campaigning in New Hampshire, touching every hand, answering every question, being the last person to leave. And we had the most amazing thing happen is the second that we got the endorsement from Governor Chris Sununu. I mean, a true governor that doesn't stand behind a podium. He shows up at a diner. He shows up at the brewery. He loves the people of New Hampshire. He has been with me every single day at every single event. Chris, I couldn't have done it without you. And I want to thank someone.
Can I say how much I love the Don't Unfriend Me listeners who have come to embrace not loving Nikki Haley, not liking Nikki Haley, but not necessarily focusing on just the negative, but seeing some positive. I am very proud of all of you. I really am. Because this isn't about Nikki Haley. It's the same thing that I see when Democrats come in who hate Trump, who show some things that they liked about him, or Vivek, when I gave him credit for things that he said. It's really important, man. It's not always about the negative. Everyone has a struggle. Everyone's fighting a fight. And you got to give her credit. At least she's up there fighting. At least she's not going to take it standing up. She beat the shit. She did what Donald Trump did in 2016. She kicked the crap out of all those guys. She got them to quit, and she's still there. And now she's taken on the master of it. And you got to admit, man, she's got moxie. And if you don't do that, then you're just a person who's hateful. You're just a person who just hates anyone who isn't Trump. And you're going to be really disappointed if he doesn't win in 2024, because that's it for Trump. He ain't going to run again. What are you going to do when Trump's gone? What are you going to do with yourself? I mean, you can possibly, you know how they have those moldable vaginas that you can have made? Maybe you can get a man-sized Donald Trump of his butt, because you're going to need something just to make you feel better at night. You're going to be lonely. Maybe that's what I'm going to make. The Donald Trump butt. And I could sell that in porn shops. Okay, here we go.
Someone who was with me on day one. He's a patriot. He's a hardcore conservative. And he is my friend, General Don Bolduc. And Sharon, thank you so much.
All right, I want to get past the thank yous. Oh, she just said something.
Selves saying this race is over. Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
If I'm not mistaken, she's what, 7.1? 7.1% within, that's a, is my George Bush correct? 4 + 2 is 6. Carry the 1, 7.1. 7.1%. That isn't if she gets to 5, this is a loss for Trump. If she gets within 5%, I know what the check mark says. If she gets within 5 points of Trump, this is a loss for Donald Trump.
It's 5.9 is what it's telling me.
Do 52.5 minus 46.6.
52.5 minus 46.6. 5.9 is what my calculator
You guys, if
says.
this gets to 5%, this is a loss for Trump. Like this is an A++ finish for Nikki Haley. 5% is, they were saying 30 points. This is huge. And he's losing. I'm sitting here watching this happen. I'm like, he was at like 5,500 votes. Now he's at 4,300. You guys and girls, this is massive. They can call it, and that's fine. But if this gets within 5%,
that's a big win for her.
That's a big win for Haley. Huge. Not her being president, huge, but still huge. No, Keith. No, she doesn't. See, Keith, you're not going to come on my show and lie. It's less than 1.1% of the overall electorate who submitted change forms to actually vote for Republican. You have to do that. You can't just go in and change your vote. That's not the way it works. You have to request and submit it 72 hours before the election in order to go ahead and do that. During the time of that 72 hours, 1.1% of the vote had to actually switch. And the reason why is some people weren't even going to vote. They wanted to be able to write in Joe Biden. And if you look at the overall numbers, which I can show you again, like 0.6% of that vote was written in for Joe Biden. So out of the 1.1% of those people, 0.6% of them wrote for Joe Biden, which now leaves less than 0.5% of those votes. Give me a break, dude. That's not what happened. She got the moderates. Independents and moderates run New Hampshire. They are the biggest electorate, okay? And we all know, and I've been screaming on this show for years, that Donald Trump is losing every single election cycle moderate votes. This just shows you that it's true. So no, dude, that's not what happened. Go ahead, Liv.
Didn't any Democrat that wants to vote in the Republican primary in New Hampshire, didn't they have to register as a Republican by like October?
No,
or
they don't have to
something like
register as a Republican. They have to actually show their intent to vote for the other primary. They don't have to change who they are. They have to say, I'm going to vote in the Republican primary as an independent, as a Democrat. 1.1% of the vote actually did that on the Democrat side. So that's a lie. It's a lie.
Got it.
Okay, great.
And the next one is my sweet state of South.
Keith, completely different. A caucus is Keith. I'm running at 100 miles an hour, man. So I'm not trying to. Sometimes I come across as harsh. I apologize, Keith. That's not what I meant to do. Sometimes I just throw out stats and I get going fast, and it sounds like I'm hitting you in the head. So I apologize. That's not what's happening. Understand this, is that they can go ahead and vote in a Republican primary. They did do that. You're absolutely right. Democrats did change which primary they're going to vote for, because Joe Biden and the Democrats didn't even go to New Hampshire, which is going to hurt them in the general election, by the way. These numbers should show that. Can you imagine if it was a Trump and Haley ticket, that New Hampshire would be in play? Because it would be right now based on these numbers. That's a huge portion of the electorate. So, hey guys, move your mic. So, I love you. Good night, son. Good night, buddy. So, the whole point is that, yes, they had the ability to change which primary they voted in. But like I said, most of them did that so they could write in Joe Biden against the Republican primary. So it always happens. Whenever you have these situations where you can do that in a general election. You can vote for whoever you want just because you're registered. But in primaries and midterms, those are usually ran by your convention. But in New Hampshire, the rules are any voter can come in and vote in the Republican primary outside of their primary that they're registered for with a request to do so. You can't do that in Nevada. So every state's different. It's all state election law. I've got it all in my head. It's too much. Just understand this. I would tell you, if I felt that this was a Democrat vote, then I would tell you. Second, if it is a Democrat vote, that's what you want. In order to win an election, you got to bring the moderates. You got to bring the independents. You got to get a little bit of the Democrat Party. If you don't, you will lose. No base is big enough to win an election. You have to look at all the elections history. Reagan brought in moderates. He brought in the blue-collar Democrats. Okay, Bush did the same thing. Obama brought in conservative moderates. This is what happens, okay? So to say Nikki Haley, oh my God, she's bringing in moderates and she's bringing in Democrats. Good. Somebody's got to. Trump's not going to. That's why she makes a good VP pick, because she brings in a very, very large portion of moderates and blue-collar Democrats. That's why you see her competing in New Hampshire. That's why you saw her compete in Iowa. She got 20% of the vote. That's ridiculous. If she goes into South Carolina and she does 15 to 20%, that is an absolute monumental win for South Carolina, even though it's her home state, because Donald Trump is wicked popular in South Carolina. Folks, this is election math. It's not hard. It's all facts. It's not gut. You just got to look at the numbers, look at the polls, look at the trends, and you will be able to figure out, like I do, and look like a genius. I take my donations at PayPal at owner@don'tunfriendme.com. Keep the show going.
State of South Carolina. At one point in this campaign, there were 14.
David says, did Trump win New Hampshire in 2016? No. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jeb Bush got 3 and electoral votes, and Trump got 2 for the total of the 5. So delegates. So no, I believe Jeb Bush won. Olivia,
I'm looking it up.
fact check me. Hold on. Let's see if the old brain box is working. Jeb Bush won New Hampshire in 2016. Let's see. I'll tell you, Ted Cruz won Iowa.
In 2016?
Yeah.
Donald Trump was declared the winner with 35.3% of the popular vote and picked up 11 delegates. Oh, is that the actual?
No, that's the general. Okay. Look, you got to do the primary. Republican primary, okay. New Hampshire, 2016. Okay. And in the caucus of Iowa, Ted Cruz won it in 2016. Donald Trump conceded, lost by 5 points, and then the next following week said Ted Cruz cheated. Go figure. Is that Donald Trump or what? Come on, give it to me. Jeb Bush.
All right,
Jeb Bush. Come on.
I'm looking.
I'll get to Kari Lake. I'm not going to leave Kari Lake's video. All right, I got to play this. You tell me in a second.
It was Trump.
No, read it. You said it once.
New Hampshire primary results 2016.
Where did Jeb Bush play?
He was 4th with 11%. Ted Cruz was 3rd with 11.7. Kasich was 15.8.
Kasich, that's who it was. It was Kasich. I'm sorry.
15.8%.
Yep.
And Trump got 35.
Yep. Kasich came in 2nd place. It was the Iowa that I was thinking about with Ted Cruz. See, I'm wrong once in a while. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But 2016 did win it. What did he lose? What did Jeb Bush win?
I will look it up.
Jeb Bush won one of those primaries that was shocking. I know Ted Cruz was shocking in Iowa, but Kasich came in. That's right. Kasich, that's the guy I've been talking about a couple months ago when I was talking about him and I couldn't remember his name. He made a shitstorm for Donald Trump. See, I've been wrong before. There it is. Listen.
It's running.
No, she can't win South Carolina. She can't win any of this. Donald Trump's going to clear all 50 states. It's not the point. She's not in it to win. She's in it to go ahead and show Donald Trump that he needs to pick her as VP. And tonight, that showed a lot. If she goes in South Carolina and gets within 15 to 20 points, it's showing even more. She's not going to win in Nevada because she's not on the ticket, but that means she's going to hit Super Tuesday. And she hits Super Tuesday and she polls more than 10 to 15% of the vote from Donald Trump, she will be the next vice president for Donald Trump. I'm telling you right now. You are not going to give 15% of the electorate away to somebody else. It's just not going to happen. Because Nikki Haley's base that's voting for her is not going to vote for Trump. They're going to vote for Biden. So it's a 30-point swing. You guys, listen to me. Listen to me. I'm good at this, even though I completely messed up that Jeb Bush won New Hampshire.
He didn't.
He won nothing in the primary.
No, he
was in. Okay.
He placed poorly in Iowa.
Yeah.
Hampshire,
I know. Ted Cruz won Iowa though.
And then he
is that what it says?
I don't know. He dropped out after South Carolina.
I know this.
8%.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about Iowa.
The Iowa caucus.
Iowa caucus 2016. Ted Cruz won, and I believe it was like 5 points. Then Jeb Bush was winning the polls up until 12 months before the primaries began. He was winning decisively.
Yes, Cruz won
Iowa.
Iowa 27.6.
That's right.
Trump was 24.3.
5 points is what I said.
So there
okay, so that's correct. Jeb Bush was ahead in the polls, and Kasich came in second, which was a shock, and literally just, I mean, same thing in Michigan, same thing in Wisconsin. Kasich came in and took that upper northeast and just crushed it. All right, so let's listen to the rest of Haley.
Well, I'm a fighter. And I'm scrappy. And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump.
Standing pretty good, too. 5.9.
And today we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up.
Nobody can say this isn't a win for her. I'm just saying.
For a lot of people, politics is way too personal. It's not personal for me. I voted for Trump twice. I was proud to serve America in his cabinet. I agree with many of his policies.
There you go.
I
She's vying for
decided to
VP.
run because I'm worried about the future of our country and because it's time to put the negativity and chaos behind us.
All right, that was Nikki Haley not dropping out. She said New Hampshire is the first in the nation, but it is not the last. And she's going to be moving on to dozens more states. But first, her home state of South Carolina. Let's bring back in Dana Perino. Is that what you expected, Dana?
Next Tuesday,
yes, although I have to say, the way she structured the speech, for a minute there, I thought, wait, is she dropping out? Because she started the speech with heartfelt thanks to her parents, to her husband, to her supporters like Chris Sununu, the governor here, Don Bolduc, the general who had been very supportive of her. And so I thought,
yeah. We all know Trump 2024. Nobody's saying not Trump 2024. We're saying that this is the process for our republic and our elected representative democracy. And I want the process to take place. See, it's interesting. Everybody just wants to kind of go ahead and stick the crown on Trump. Sorry, I don't, fuck that. We're not a coronation. We're not a monarchy. We're not a theologian system of government. We are a representative democracy through a republic. Donald Trump isn't the incumbent. He hasn't earned shit. Go out there and earn it. Go win it. You didn't debate. That's fine. You're not really campaigning. That's fine. And you don't have to. But you're going to have to campaign against Joe Biden. And honestly, the truth of the matter is that he's going to have to campaign against Nikki Haley. Because if she takes 15% of the national vote, Donald Trump has one decision and only decision is to make her VP. And that's what she's playing for. She is pulling an LBJ move. This is LBJ personified. She is going to be able to deliver parts of the Northeast. She will be able to deliver Arizona. She'll probably impact Georgia. The minority vote will come out. The massive suburbs in those two states will come out. And she's going to give him states that he needs to win. He has shown us nothing since 2016 that he can actually win an election. 2018, 20, and 22, Donald Trump, everything he touched, no offense, I just want to be respectful, it turned to shit. There was no red wave. And any red wave that did take place were people who did not support Trump, like Governor Youngkin, who won, like Kemp, who won, like Sununu, who won. So to think that Donald Trump's coattails are what they once were, they're not. And Donald Trump is going to need to campaign. So let's stop pretend she is a swampy. You don't even know what that means. What do you mean? What does that mean? She's a swampy. How? Please tell me what political action money she has taken from any special interest groups. Give me one line on her FEC declaration. Just one. Give me a special interest. Chris, I'm waiting. Matunon. Makawaka. Mativasha. Come on, Chris. Give me what special interest has donated money or given money to Nikki Haley? What special interest? Because that's the definition of a swamp, right? Corporations, special interest, political action committees, giving politicians money to sway the vote against their constituents. That's the definition of a swamp. Please tell me which one. Because all of those are declared under taxes in the FEC. Which one? I'm going to give you $10,000. $10,000 cash. I'll even tax it up. $13,333.33 is yours to PayPal or Venmo if you can go ahead and show me on her FEC filings or on her taxes a special interest donation from any single special interest group. I'll wait. While she was in elected office, of course, which was governor or assigned office as UN ambassador, because that's the only thing you can do, right? Because as a private citizen, she can't be the swamp. So tell me, which one? Where's that? Come on. Come on. No? None? Zero? Zilch? Nada? I'll give you another minute. I want to give away some money. Do we have some Jeopardy music, honey?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can we, while we wait?
Mm-hmm.
We need it one more time because it's one full minute. All right, your time's up. Daily double winner. What's the answer? Special interest group, political action committee, dark money, the swamp, giving money to Nikki Haley on her campaign contributions or on her tax records. I'll wait. What is the $8 million they say she got out of office? Anyone else heard that narrative? Sure, I'll tell you what it is. You ready? You ready? Over 67% of the money she made in $8 million was from the lecture circuit and her books. The rest of it was her mother and father's house that she sold, and sold it for like a 75% profit because of COVID and property prices and home prices in the area. The rest of it, she was on the board and was an executive for multi-billion-dollar corporations like I was. You make a lot of money there. I made my first $500,000 with Apple in 2 years. Ask my wife. Stock options and salary. You make good money working for companies when you are an executive. That's it. She made it the old-fashioned way. She earned it. Okay? Anybody else? Give it to me. Come on. Come on. That's
Not
it.
everyone who has a lot of money is corrupt.
Yeah, I'm corrupt too. I guess I'm deep state. No, we can disagree. We always can disagree. Everyone, we can disagree. You can have an opinion. What you don't do is get to lie. You don't get to lie. Not on my show. You don't lie. You can tell the truth. You can have an opinion and say it. This is just my opinion. I think she's swamp. You know what I would have said? Nothing. Everyone knows on this show, if you just say, this is my opinion, I'm like, okay. But the moment that you say she is swamp, you're going to get it because she's not the swamp. Swamp is money, power, votes, dark money, political action committees, campaign contributions, indebted to circumventing your constituents for special interest groups. That's what the swamp is. You can cut it down any way you want it. That's it. Money, power, votes. There is nothing that demonstrates that Nikki Haley has taken one bribe, one special interest payment, one political action committee. Yeah, she's taken big money donations from billionaires. What the fuck? Of course she would. You know how much money she spent on her campaign in the first 9 months? Hardly anything. She's running a national campaign. I don't give a shit if the Koch brothers. Do you think if the Koch brothers can, hey, Matt, we're going to go ahead and give you $250,000. Okay. We're going to have you speak favorably about us. Sure. 7 months later, hey, Matt, you haven't said anything about the Koch brothers. Yeah, I'm trying to get to it. I just don't have the time. But by me not saying anything negative means I'm speaking favorably. Of course I'm going to take the money. Of course I am. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be bought and paid for. Nikki Haley is not swamped. She's worth $8 million. Do you know what that means? It's 2 years in the Senate. It's 5 years in the House. You guys are going to sit here and pretend that she's swampy at $8 million? Give me a break. Do you want to know how much I'm worth? What I'm worth. Not how much cash I have, because I don't have a lot. I'm worth over $2 million. And I am not even close to as successful as Nikki Haley. You take my life insurance, you take my house, you take my investments, you take the property and the things that I have, I'm well over $2 million. Does that mean that I'm swampy too? No, I earned it. So did she. Stop it. Stop it. Stop believing everything you hear. Because you can't prove it. Britt Hume is saying, same as Matt, that Trump needs Haley on the ticket. Of course he is, because they're all going to do what I say now. Because they're finally going to pull their heads out of their vaginas. 3 years, I've been telling you, Nikki Haley is a perfect choice for Trump for VP. You guys just need to get over and get your butt hurt vagina. He's got to pick somebody. Vivek is a piece of shit. Vivek is not going to give Trump anything. Kristi Noem doesn't have the chops. She's pretty. That's what she's got. Nikki Haley's got that. She doesn't have the bite. This woman worked in the UN. All right, we got to get to this. And then we got to do this. I've already proven my point. I'm never going to lose this conversation. Why are you showing me the time?
Because it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know it's 9 o'clock, but I already extended for a few minutes, and I told you we were going to do this, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. Is that okay, sweet punkum?
Yes.
Is there a number at which...
All right. Now, this is the big show. This is the big dog. The heavy hitter. You just want to go play Diablo.
Yeah, actually. Yes, I do.
This is Arizona Republican Party Chair Jeff DeWitt. And this, in my opinion, you guys have been looking for election fraud evidence. Here it is. Sir Balance, no. Your opinion is that she's swampy. I don't care what the PPD podcast says. The PBD podcast believes that the election was stolen. Okay? So I've seen their panel. The only guy worth his salt is the headman for the show. That guy is a fucking genius, and I don't even know his name. And I just recently started watching the PBD podcast, and I like him. I don't even know his name. That guy is fucking smart. And Tim Pool just put an anti-Semite in Dom Lucre, who is in the fucking tunnels of New York now, wearing Gucci and Prada, saying that the Jewish tunnels are sex trafficking kids. Bro, Tim Pool, I don't respect him at all. He also said Nikki Haley wasn't Indian. That said also, and put somebody on his show, that said she was making it up about the pageant. I showed pictures of her at 8 years old. I showed pictures of 12 years old. Everyone on the show saw it. It was a complete lie. I also showed the picture that he put up where he whitened her skin. And the picture that Laura Loomer put up and the other ones put up, they went and lowered the color of her skin when she was in high school in order to convince people that she was white. I proved that too.
You know, and people get lighter as they get older. I was not nearly this white when I was a kid. I was a lot darker, and I looked more Hispanic when I was a child. I don't anymore, but
I don't know what redacted is. I have no idea. I know what the PBD podcast is, and I know what Tim Pool is. I'm sorry, I have dyslexia, so it's really hard for me to say PBD. Tim Pool, if I bet on Tim Pool being right, I would lose a shit ton of money. PBD, the main guy on the show, love him. Genius. Only reason I watch the show. That yokel to his right, who's like, no, I'm from Southie, man. I'm from Southie. That guy, I can't stand him. And the other guy who's like the middleman who looks like a Krasenstein brother, who's like always shilling for the Democrats, yet he pretends he's a Republican. I can't stand him either. But the main guy, I love him. Of course they're going to say that. Do you know who funds their show? Look at that. Listen to me. Definition of swamp. Let's stick to the facts. If you want to say that she is a neocon, maybe. Some of the things she says are extremely old school conservative neocons. But let's not forget, anyone who thinks that we don't have to stand in the way of Taiwan and China has no idea the impact that that will have on our economy. As far as Ukraine, I'm with you, brother. Let's get the fuck out of there. Let's not get involved in any more wars. But if we let China have Taiwan, we might as well kiss our asses goodbye, okay? I'm done with this. You can't prove it to me. You can't. I told you to give me any type of facts. Show me one donation from any major PAC, special interest group, zero, zilch, nada, none. None while she was in elected office. Then she is not a swamp member, period. Okay? End of story. Good. I like me some Patrick Bet David. Is that his name? I like him. I listen to him, a clown, Loretta says. Hold on. Is that his name? Patrick? I don't even know. Patrick Bet Davis. Okay, I like him. The guy in the middle, love him. Super smart. In fact, I'm thinking of stealing his mic. I love my RE20, but his microphone is wicked. It sounds so freaking clean. I'm really thinking of switching all of our mics. Okay. Squirrel. Listen, this is Party Chair Jeff DeWitt. And this is a recording that we assume is from Kari Lake and was leaked. I don't know. The two things immediately come to mind. If Kari Lake knew she was going to be recording, she was going to go ahead and make this politically advantageous for her. But I don't think so. I think she probably knew it was being recorded, but this is the way I believe she talks. I don't think she takes any shit. Okay? I really do. I really do. Yeah, PBD, Patrick Bet David. I think he's amazing. Awesome. Love him. I just don't like his co-hosts. I think they're twat waffles. All right, here we go. I want you to listen to this and listen close, because this, in my opinion, is election fraud. This is election fraud from the Republicans. Republicans trying to stop Kari Lake from running for Senate and blackmailing her and bribing her not to run. Here it is.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No.
Here, hold on a second. I want to show you. I think there is.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause.
All right, I don't
No.
have.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No.
I don't have the closed caption, so you're just gonna have to listen. If you need me to repeat something, I will.
10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country. I think it's disturbing that they would even, that anybody would think this is.
No, to be fair, even me, I'll say this. I want a fresh face right now, for the reason that I've never seen anyone, I can't think of a single person in a federal race who.
Karen says, who is this guy? This is the Republican Party chief, Jeff DeWitt.
When was this?
Indiscriminate. It has to be within the last year, because she's announced for senator.
Lost, ran in and won. I can't think of it. If you can think of it, let me know.
I am not going to let these people who hate our country tell me not to run. You should call them and tell them to get behind me. So what's going on? What is, I'm assuming this is our friend.
This is back east. There are very powerful people that want to keep you out.
Oh no, they do.
But they're willing to put their money where their mouth is in a big way. So, this conversation never happened.
This is crazy though. They should want me. I'm a great candidate. People love me. These people are corrupt.
Well, maybe you're right.
They are right. They are corrupt.
What a douchey
There's
son.
your rap. Don't go. Do me a favor though. I don't get myself in trouble. This, if you say no, which is fine, it's your choice. Don't tell people.
They're gonna try to have me murdered.
I wouldn't doubt that either. Today's world, man. If that stuff that came out last week is right about the cartel stuff, man. They said the cartel's operating in 50 states right now, like all 50. You know. So
what's going on? Who is it? What?
Forget the who. Let me just tell you the what. Let's just say there are people calling around saying, gosh, no, they can't repeat this. Never repeat this. If you say no, don't, because say, I got offered to buy out. Don't use it. Because then we lose our ability to get things done in the future.
Here's my problem. Rather than just say, let's work with her, she's a great candidate. Because they don't own me. And it pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't know, it's about ownership.
It's about control.
I don't know it's about control. It's about being on the team. I guess that's, you know what I mean?
They want to be on the team.
They want you to be on their team.
But
Just team. You know?
But if they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that. So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
They want you to stay out for 2 years. But, I'll tell you what I can offer you. But, I said you can do whatever she wants, talking head, this and that. So, the ask of me was, it's kind of funny. So the ask I got today from back east was, it has to stay between us. Is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her, to keep her out? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? Like, whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad, bad thing for our country. DeSantis is not America first. This is about the final death blow to Trump. And I don't think that's good for our country.
And you know I love Trump. I love Trump.
It's not good for our country, Jeff.
It's not. But at the same time, I'm not even sure Trump can win again. I don't know that he can win again. I think what it really comes down to for a lot of people, it's not really about like control or agenda. It's just about the ability to raise money to win. You know, if you really want to know, all of politics boils down to money. I think. That was really good. And even on their end, like what makes them the most money?
I know. All these consultants don't want their payday to end. And I don't want to make a deal with these kind of people. This is a hill worth dying on. I'm not, if they're going to steal the election to make me and our movement go away, I'm not letting them do that. I owe it to the people of Arizona.
Or
to carry their torch and their voice.
Or you don't go away, but you pause.
This is the battles right now, Jeff.
You pause and refill your coffers.
No, the battle is right now. The battle is right now, and
I want you to listen to something because I'm going to show you something else in just 1 second. Listen to this.
We don't have time to pause on this battlefield.
You're not. You can't scratch their back. It's not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Here's the other piece I'm going to show you to listen to. It's at roughly the 9-minute mark, which is the full audio.
DeSantis is getting.
Which I will show to y'all tomorrow when I do a show on this. But listen.
You're reading too deep into it.
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe my case will go through. Maybe they'll do the right thing.
I hope so.
I do too. That's my first goal. Yeah. But they can't have me in the governor's office because then we're going to root out some of this corruption.
But again, it's like,
you know what it is? The people don't get to choose their elected officials unless they're pre-approved by the swamp. And the swamp doesn't pre-approve of me.
You need a strong party to help.
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
no.
These people don't want to, they don't want,
and then I turn my key in my car and I go.
Did you hear it? Mm-hmm. He said you should go public with this. And he goes, yeah. And then I turn my key in my car and it goes boom. Just be clear, this is the swamp. The swamp wants people like Kari Lake not to run. The swamp wants people like Nikki Haley not to run.
Makes me like her more.
Yeah, it makes me like her more too.
Because she stood her ground, and the fact that they're trying to get her not to run, just like Trump, well, what does she have to offer and why? What does she know and what can she do that they don't want her to do?
This whole thing will unravel. But see, the illusion is people actually believe that the establishment on either side cares about you. And I want you to look through world history. And before we go, we've got like 5 minutes before everything turns off. And I'm out of here because I'm going to go play Diablo because it's season 3. And somebody asked who's better at Diablo, you or me?
Oh, me or you?
Yeah.
You, for sure. You've played all the games.
I disagree. Olivia is a very good Diablo player. In fact, by the end of season 1, I embarrassed her. Season 2, her end character saved my ass. Both characters, her mage and her necro, saved my ass multiple times. Now, I will say my barbarian was unbeatable, but she saved my rogue's ass plenty of times. So Olivia's a good player. Now, go throughout world history, all history. Go back to the Romans, go back to the Saxons, Mesopotamians, Greeks. You can go back to the Shiites, the Sunnis, the Muslims, the Jews. You go down to the Egyptians, the Persians, Mongolians, the Cossacks, the Bolsheviks. You can go back through the days of Charlemagne if you want to. And there has always been a ruling class, and there has always been serfs, peons, peasants, slaves. Always. What the fuck makes you think that's changed? What makes you think that has changed throughout? How can eons of history, thousands of years of history, and you think that the United States of America is the only free place on earth? Because I can name 32 other countries that have freedom just as much as we do. I can name 32 different countries right now, 32, that all have the same, if not more, freedom than we do. Just ask me to start. What differentiates the United States is the illusion of change. But what has really changed? We still have a middle class, we still have a lower class, and we still have an upper class, and then we have the ruling class. That has not changed in 246 some odd years of our history, 247 years of our history. That hasn't changed in thousands of years of history in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia. What makes you name them? Belgium, France, Norway, Finland, Switzerland, Japan, Luxembourg, Malaysia, Sumatra, Kuala Lumpur, Bahrain, Canada. Would you like me to do the provinces of Canada?
Australia?
Australia.
New Zealand?
South Korea, New Zealand, England, Germany.
Spain.
All of them have freedom. Spain, no. Spain's pretty bad.
No.
Greece. Israel. You can name so many countries that have freedom, which means that their country doesn't enslave people, that they have a constitution. China has a fucking constitution. They don't follow it, but they have a constitution. Taiwan used to be free. Hong Kong used to be free. This lie, you've never been to any of the countries. How do you know? I've been to 26 different countries. I've lived in most of the states in the Union. And I will tell you that freedom is not only in the United States of America, but there is a very big difference on what type of freedoms you possess. Bullshit, Canada's not free. Canada restricts speech. Canada has an authoritarian type government, but it's still free. It's no slavery. You're being paid a wage. Give me a fucking break. It's free. You can say pretty much anything you want. It doesn't mean you're not going to get a knock on the door. Same thing's true for the United States. It's just as free as the U.S. Hell, at times I would say Japan is freer than the United States. I live there. And you can not only petition your government, they'll give you a platform and pay for you to say the things you want to say. There was a time that they would feed you your balls and cut off your head in Japan. To sit here and say that the United States is the only free country in the world is bullshit. To say we're the only bastion of freedom left in the United States. We are the most powerful country, which makes us freer than everyone else, because if you disagree with us, we will fucking blow you in the next month. There's a big difference. We can enforce freedom and ensure that we remain free. There's a big difference. But if you think that our military might was non-existent and that we would be free, you're crazy. We are one of the strongest empires ever in world history. We are not conquerors, but we are an empire. So for you to sit here and think that the United States is not corrupt, that the United States is so star-spangled awesome that it's free from manipulating its people, you have not paid attention. We fled tyrannical rule. We are back in it. We never left it. They took Kennedy. Tuskegee experiments were the government. They dropped 2 nukes and flashed 730,000 fucking people without a second thought. Look at COVID. If you think the United States government is working in the best interest of the people, then you don't know anything about world history. You don't know anything about our Constitution. You don't know anything about Ronald Reagan. And I'm questioning if you're even a conservative. The only thing that protects us from the United States government, these 3 books: the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration. This is it. This is for us, not them. This isn't theirs, yet they use it against us. They weaponize it against us. The Patriot Act is the abortion of the Constitution of the United States, an abortion, and they keep pushing it through. Both parties are responsible. Both parties vote on it. Trillion-dollar omnibus bills that send us and spend us to the highest bidder. We constantly sign those bills. We push them through. The American people are no longer represented. The special interests are represented. The corporations are represented. You're not represented. Name something that you have voiced that's actually gotten pushed through at city council, state level, the fucking local dog catcher, county clerks and recorder's office. Hell, go into the DMV and ask them to go ahead and see the manager and submit a ticket on the wait times and see if it gets impacted. You don't have a voice. You've never had a voice. You will never have a voice until you take it back. And how do you take it back? Vote these fuckers out of office and stop believing in politicians at the national level to make change. The president's not going to do anything for you. It's your governor. It's your senator. It's your state legislature. It's the county clerk. It's the sheriff. It's the municipalities, the cities, the townships. Those will make the difference. And it starts right here. And you have these books to protect you to go say what you want to say. And if you're not getting the reaction that you want from them, then take their jobs. Donald Trump's going to be president. Everything's going to change. Nothing's going to change. You are looking for the cure from cancer in a pack of cigarettes. You are looking for the cure for cancer in a pack of cigarettes. It's not where you find it. Whatever. Wake up. Stop trusting the plan.
It's all part of the plan.
It is a part of the plan. And when you realize that they're all a part of it and you're not, maybe you'll start waking up. Liv, do you have anything to part with besides YouTube? Or are you just going to talk about YouTube?
YouTube. 69 to go. Come on, people.
69 to go. 69. Sounds like a good number, Liv, to end on and start on. The end and the beginning.
What's on your mind?
Whoosh. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the Donut Friendly Show. We'll be back tomorrow with a recorded show in the morning and a live show at night. We got 35 seconds on Spreely. Say goodnight, everybody. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. Wish us luck in the internal realm of Diablo as we fight for the sanctity of the lives of all those innocent people being destroyed by demons. We're going to make the fight. You come back tomorrow. We'll tell you all about it. Good night.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.